Hi, I'm Shannan. My sister painted me as the selfish one, the granddaughter who didn't care. But while she posed for pictures, I worked 3 jobs to keep Grandma alive. They believed her, not me. Then Grandma died and left behind a letter that shattered everything. Why would someone rewrite your story while you're still living it? Have you ever been pushed out of your own family's version of events? Have you ever been the one who stayed silent, only to be silenced? Where are you watching from and what time is it right now? Drop it in the comments. I want to know who's listening. And hey, if this hits close to home, don't forget to subscribe. You're not alone. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Cinnamon and burnt candle wax, like every Dawson family birthday since 1996. The second was how no one looked me in the eye. I was late, still in my work shoes, uniform stiff from grease. I had a small wrapped box in my coat pocket. A cardigan I knew Grandma wouldn't wear, but would appreciate anyway. The living room buzzed with that forced cheerfulness I remembered from holidays. Too many voices, too few truths. Casey was holding court in the middle of it all, naturally. "Shannan!" Mom called out, as if I were a guest, not her daughter. "You made it after all." "Yep, clocked out 20 minutes ago," I said, brushing snow off my shoulders. Grandma sat on her recliner, tucked under a heavy knit blanket. She smiled when she saw me. That made it worth showing up. Just barely. Then came the toast. Casey stood up with a glass of non-alcoholic champagne. Everything about her was filtered, even the bubbles. "I just want to say how grateful I am to be here," she said, brushing hair behind her ear like it was staged. "Family means everything to me. Some of us make time for what matters." The pause after that sentence hung like smoke. People laughed. They clinked glasses. I didn't. I stared at the condensation on the window and watched it trail down like little escapes. She was doing it again, rewriting the script with herself as the heroine and me as the plot hole. It wasn't new. It just hit harder when it landed with applause. Dad joined in, half chuckling. "She's always been good with people, unlike someone who's, well, more private." Private. That was a nice way of saying invisible. Mom added, "It's not about work. Everyone's busy. It's about effort." I smiled without smiling. Casey gave me a gentle pat on the shoulder, as if she were comforting me. "Don't be mad," she whispered. "We all love you, even if you forget to show it." My breath caught. My fingers clenched around the cup, and I walked to the kitchen without a word. Grandma watched me go. Her eyes weren't joyful. They were tired. Out on the porch, the cold hit like a slap. I leaned against the railing, watching the condensation on the glass freeze back into frost. 16 years ago, I bought Grandma's medication with my last $40. Never told anyone. Didn't ask for praise. Casey posted a photo with her that same day, captioned, "Taking care of my favorite girl." They believed her, because she made it look good. I just looked exhausted. Inside, I heard laughter, the clink of dessert plates. Casey's voice again, loud and effortless. I opened the front door, stepped back into the warmth, and locked eyes with her across the room. "You want to play perfect? Fine, but let's see how long you can fake it." I didn't say a word, but I didn't forget either. I don't know what made me walk that way. Maybe it was instinct. Or maybe it was something colder. Something sharpened after years of being left out of the room where decisions happened. I spotted her car before I saw her. White SUV, same pink air freshener hanging from the mirror, same perfectly parked precision. Outside Reed and Barker, the firm downtown with the glass windows that never showed fingerprints. I didn't stop walking, just slowed, just enough to see her come out. Sunglasses, envelope in hand, smile on her face like she just secured a promotion. She didn't see me, not then. Back home, I sat with my laptop glowing in the dark. Reed and Barker, estate law, trust revisions, probate management. It wasn't casual. It wasn't hypothetical. She wasn't just angling for attention anymore. She was setting the stage. 2 days later, I went to Halbrook. No appointment. He looked up, surprised, but not unwelcome. "Has anyone else contacted you about Grandma's directives?" I asked. He blinked, then reached into a drawer and pulled out a faxed page. "You should see this." It was a draft of a power of attorney. Agnes Dawson's name signed at the bottom, sort of. The A curved wrong. The G sloped too evenly. She didn't sign this, I said. I didn't think so, Halbrook said. It came without a cover letter, no filing, just pushed through. Pushed, like Casey was testing the door to see if it would open. The air outside his office was sharp, slicing through my coat as I stepped into it. I walked for 3 blocks before realizing I didn't know where I was going. My body was moving faster than my thoughts. This wasn't just performance anymore. It was planning, strategy, premeditated. I pulled out my phone and texted Lori. Anything strange at the hospital this week? She replied within 2 minutes. Come by later. I think you should see something. I stared at the screen, then looked up at the skyline. The courthouse clock struck the hour. Wind tugged at the edges of my scarf. She wants control, I whispered. So do I, but I'll earn it. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it. Celebrating love, loyalty, and legacy. Some of us were always there. The caption sat beneath a photo that didn't just sting, it gutted. Casey stood smiling, arm wrapped around Grandma. Mom was on one side, Dad on the other. The cake I baked still half visible on the table. But I wasn't there. Not in the frame. Not even blurred in the background. Except I had been. I remember handing out the plates, wiping Grandma's mouth with a napkin when frosting smeared on her chin. I was the one who lit the candles. Now, apparently, I was just edited. I called Mom, tried to keep my tone light. That birthday photo, do you have the original? I swear I saw myself somewhere near the cake. She hesitated. That hesitation said more than the answer that followed. Oh, sweetie, Casey just touched it up a bit, nothing personal. Right, but I'd like the original. There was a pause, the kind that builds into a wall. I think I deleted it, she said. Her voice had that manufactured innocence I hadn't heard since I was 16, and she lost my college essay. In the background, I heard it, Casey's voice, too clear to deny. Just tell her it's gone. No need to drag this. The line went dead. I stared at the black screen, then my reflection in it. 16 years ago, Casey pushed me out of a group photo at church, said I blinked too much. I stood behind the camera holding everyone's coats. Some things don't change. Back in my apartment, I dug through the drawer beneath my bed. Found the sweater I wore that day, crumbs still in the pocket. Then, deeper, I found the photo strip. 4 squares. Me and Grandma in a photo booth. She had worn a plastic tiara. I had frosting on my cheek. They can erase me online, crop me out of their version. But Grandma never did. I held the photo against my chest. Let her frame me however she wants. I'm done sitting still inside a crop. The lights were low in Grandma's room. Machines hummed softly around her. But she was awake. Her eyes flicked toward the door before landing on me. You always come late, she whispered, voice paper thin. Just like your mother used to when she was young. I took her hand. It was cool, light like creased fabric. Her skin, once firm and sun-kissed from gardening, now felt like wind-worn paper. She smiled, almost mischievously. I've been holding on to something. For you. She pulled a small envelope from beneath her blanket. Cream-colored, sealed in wax. My name wasn't on it. Just Halbrook's. When I'm gone, you give this to him. No one else. I nodded, throat too tight to answer. She squeezed my fingers, surprisingly strong. I didn't trust the others to protect it. But you? You don't chase spotlights. You guard what matters. I sat with her for another hour, just listening. Not to her voice, she didn't say much more, but to her breathing. Steady despite everything. I didn't know it then, but it was the last time she'd ever look at me with full clarity. At home, I poured tea and set the letter down beside my phone. I didn't open it. I wouldn't. Not yet. But curiosity itched at my spine. So I looked through the drawer she'd given me months ago, the one filled with old greeting cards and expired coupons. At the bottom was her flip phone, the one she never let anyone toss. I powered it on. It took longer than it should have. Eventually, I found the folder labeled Voice Memos. Most were empty. One wasn't. 03-14.mp3. I tapped it. Static. Then Casey's voice, calm but coated in syrup. We can do it now. Just sign it. No one has to know. A pause. Then Grandma's voice, firmer than I'd heard in weeks. I've already made my choice. It's not you. Silence again. Then the soft click of a pen being set down. I sat frozen. My tea had gone cold. I replayed the file twice before I copied it to a flash drive and slipped it inside my recipe box. She always told me it was the one place no one ever looked. This wasn't a backup. It was a truth capsule, a weapon if needed. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. She gave me her voice, and now I would wait for the right moment to use it. The nurse was folding linens when I walked into the room. Grandma was asleep, her face slack under the soft rhythm of her breathing. Nothing looked out of place until I noticed the chart missing from its hook. "Excuse me," I said. "Where's her file?" The nurse looked up, half startled. "There was a request to begin transfer prep. Care manager authorization." "What care manager?" She blinked. "Says here, Casey Dawson." My skin went cold. I walked out without another word, my steps too fast for the linoleum to muffle. Dr. Patel intercepted me in the hallway. "There's been discussion about transferring your grandmother to a more affordable long-term facility," he said, voice neutral, like he was reading from a brochure. "Your sister said the family's struggling with cost." "We're not," I snapped. "She doesn't speak for me." "She was listed as secondary on her profile," he added. "Updated 2 days ago." I found her near the elevator, scrolling through her phone like she owned the building. "What the hell are you doing?" She didn't flinch. "Trying to be practical. Not everyone has time to live at the hospital." "You're not touching her file again, ever." She shrugged. "You're overreacting. It's not like I'm shipping her to Siberia. You work 3 jobs. I'm here." "You're here for the photo ops." She smiled, like I was amusing. That night, Lori texted me. 1 image, a screenshot. GoFundMe. Help me save my grandma's life. By Casey Dawson, $2,345 raised. Beneath it, a photo of Grandma asleep, mouth slightly open, tubes in her arms. It had been taken last Thursday. I remembered the sweater. I clicked the link, scrolled past the pity paragraphs, scanned the comments. "You're an angel, Casey. Bless you for stepping up when others can't." I didn't know whether to throw my phone or cry. Instead, I called her. "Shut it down," I said. "Now." Casey's voice was light. "Why? It's working." "You're exploiting her. You're lying to people." "It's not lying if they believe it." "If you don't shut it down," I said. "I will." She laughed. "You wouldn't dare." I didn't hang up. I let the silence press between us like static. Then, "You made this public, so will I." After she hung up, I stared out my apartment window, my reflection barely visible in the glass. She crossed the line. Now I'd draw one of my own. The video had nearly 40,000 views when I saw it. Casey sat at Grandma's bedside, her hand delicately resting over Grandma's frail wrist. A sad piano track played beneath her whispered words. "Even when it's hard, you show up for the people you love. That's what family means." Her voice cracked on cue. The comments poured in like rain. "You're a blessing." "Your grandma is lucky." "Where's your sister?" I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. The light in the video was warm and golden. Reality had been fluorescent and sharp. In truth, Casey had walked in, fixed her hair, placed the ring light on the windowsill, recorded, then walked out. She didn't even say hello. That afternoon, Lori called me. "You got a minute? I think you should see this." She met me by the vending machines. Quiet corner. She pulled out her tablet and queued up security footage from the hallway monitor. Timestamp, 8:47 a.m. Casey entered Grandma's room with a ring light in her left hand and a tripod in her right. 8:49 a.m. She exited. No hugs, no conversation, no care. "She didn't even speak to your grandmother," Lori said. "She just posed." My jaw clenched. "How long has she been doing this?" Lori raised a brow. "Long enough to build a following." I didn't cry this time. I didn't shake. I thanked Lori, copied the footage to a drive, and walked out without looking back. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with 3 things in front of me: Grandma's sealed letter, the flash drive from Lori, and a list of dates where Casey had posted memories that never happened. She wanted to be famous? Then she could be for something true. I opened a blank email, attached the video, wrote a short subject line. "In case you need the truth," but I didn't send it. Tomorrow was the meeting. And this time, they wouldn't hear it from a screen. They'd hear it from me. The dining room smelled like lemon polish and tension. Someone had dusted off the old table runner, the one Grandma only used on holidays. But this wasn't a celebration. It was an ambush disguised as a meeting. I walked in last. Everyone else was already seated. Mom, Dad, a few extended cousins. Casey stood near the laptop, posture perfect, smile measured. There was something smug about how she greeted me, as if she already knew she'd won. "Glad you could join us," she said. "We're just about to start." Dad looked at his hands. Mom offered me tea she knew I wouldn't drink. I sat without a word. Casey clicked her remote and a PowerPoint appeared. "I've drafted a proposal," she began. "One that streamlines decision-making around Grandma's care and estate. For clarity, for efficiency." No one moved. The silence stretched like smoke. She clicked again. Charts, timelines, legal jargon she barely understood. "I've consulted with a second attorney. This isn't about control. It's about protecting what's left." I raised my hand slightly. Why wasn't I consulted? Casey didn't miss a beat. "You've been overwhelmed lately. And let's be honest, you haven't exactly shown consistency." My heart thudded. I looked at Mom, at Dad. They said nothing. Then Casey pulled out the folder. "Some of you have raised concerns," she said, like this was a shareholder meeting. Inside were printouts of my texts to Grandma. "I feel like I'm disappearing. I haven't slept in days. I don't know who I am to them anymore." Twisted into something unstable. "She's exhausted. She's impulsive. Her work schedule is dangerous. What if she makes a bad decision for Grandma in that state?" I stood slowly. "You weaponized my burnout?" She didn't flinch. "You should take a break. We'll handle the hard stuff." Dad's fist hit the table, the sound cracking through the room. "Enough." But no one said more. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket and slid it across the table to Mom. "You want proof?" I said, voice calm. "Start here." Casey's face froze. She tried to read my expression and failed. I looked her in the eye, colder than I meant to be. "You had your turn. Mine starts now." The air in Halbrook's office felt heavier than usual. I arrived early. Not out of anxiety, out of necessity. I needed a moment without eyes, without whispers. The door creaked open behind me. Casey stepped in like she was walking onto a talk show set. White blazer, fresh blowout, smile rehearsed. Dad held the door for her. Mom followed close, lips pursed tight. They didn't speak to me. I didn't expect them to. Halbrook sat behind the long oak table, papers stacked neatly before him. "Thank you for coming," he said, calm but sharp. "Before we begin the official reading, your grandmother left a personal letter to be read first." Casey shifted in her seat, crossed her legs, confident, ready. Halbrook opened the envelope and began. "Some truths can't be said in life, so I left them for after." The room fell still. I watched who showed up when no one was watching, who cleaned up without being asked, who sat beside me without taking photos, and who took credit for love they never offered. Casey's smile cracked. I was not confused. Shannan paid for my care. Quietly, consistently. She didn't need to be seen. That's how I knew I could trust her. I heard Mom gasp. Dad said nothing, but his fingers clenched around the edge of the table. To Casey, "I leave my photo albums. Maybe one day you'll understand what memories are meant to be." Casey stood up. "That's a lie." Halbrook raised a hand. "This was notarized, witnessed, and recorded on video. You'll find the footage attached to the file." She sat back down like someone had unplugged her. Halbrook cleared his throat. "Now, for the legal distribution of assets, to Shannan Dawson, I leave the remainder of my estate, including all properties, savings, and full control of the Agnes Dawson Foundation." Silence, then shifting. Someone coughed. I didn't look around. She wished for it to be used for the quiet caregivers of the world, and she wished for Shannan to lead it. Casey finally found her voice. "She didn't trust me because of one bad pitch 3 years ago?" Halbrook didn't blink. "She didn't trust you because you asked to use the foundation's name for a skincare line." I closed my eyes. I remembered the conversation. Grandma folding that letter, slipping it into her recipe box, the one I used now. "I didn't take anything from her," I said softly. "I just received what she tried to protect." No one responded. No applause, no congratulations. Just the sound of a legacy being shifted, quietly, irreversibly. The first board meeting ended in a quiet kind of applause, the kind that comes more from respect than celebration. We didn't toast, we didn't pose for photos, we outlined next steps. Lori was sitting beside me, not as my friend, but as the foundation's new outreach director. She handed me a folder labeled Mobile Aid Pilot. I nodded. She understood. We didn't need to say Agnes would have approved. We both knew. After the room emptied, I lingered at the table, tracing the edge of my grandmother's name engraved on the plaque. It didn't feel like triumph. It felt like gravity. Later that afternoon, I drove to the cemetery. The wind had softened since the last snow, leaving slush patches by the headstones. I brought lilies, fresh, not from a store bouquet. I placed them at the base of the granite, brushed away melted ice with my sleeve. I kept my promise, I whispered, but I miss you every day. I stood there longer than I meant to, replaying the letter, her voice in the recording, her hands wrapping that envelope like it was something holy. I wasn't just given her trust. I had to carry it now. A few days later, Mom and Dad showed up unannounced. They stepped into the foundation lobby like they were walking into a church, hesitant, dressed too nicely. "We just wanted to see it," Mom said, eyes scanning the framed mission statement. "You've done something real." Dad didn't speak for a long time. Then, "We're proud of you." I nodded. "Thank you." They turned to leave. "You're welcome to volunteer anytime," I said, voice steady. Mom looked back. "We might." We didn't hug, but something shifted, not healed, just softened. That night, I made tea and left the TV on low. A clip played, Casey at a small tech event, giving a talk no one was really listening to. Her face was tighter now, her tone more practiced. I didn't mute it. I didn't comment. "Good luck, Casey," I murmured, setting my mug down. In the corner of my apartment, there's a photo of me and Grandma. No filters, no edits, just us in a garden, dirt under our nails, sun on our cheeks. I turn off the lights and sit by the window. I didn't win. I remembered. Sometimes, the loudest victories are the quiet ones. I didn't get revenge. I didn't scream. I didn't even correct the rumors when they spread. But I stood my ground. I protected the truth. And I remembered who I was when no one else did. What I learned is this: family isn't defined by who claps for you when you're shining. It's who stands with you when no one's looking. Not everyone will choose you. Not everyone will apologize. But you still have the right to protect your peace and reclaim your story. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been erased from your own story? Or made to feel like your silence meant guilt? What would you have done in my shoes? If this story touched something in your heart, drop a 1 in the comments, or tell me where you're watching from. And if it didn't, I still want to hear why. It helps this community grow stronger, together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more stories that speak from the heart and tell the truth most people don't. Let's keep remembering, louder than ever.